Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to another episode, another United-centric episode. We've done two in 2 days. But that's the situation where we're at. Of course, they're not going to play for another 18 days. So this will hopefully be the last one for a while that we'll be doing. We'll be doing a Champions League reaction video probably tomorrow, actually. So do stay tuned for that. We'll try to keep the United talk to a minimum, but I mean, that's for tomorrow. We've got Farhan here today. Farhan, welcome back to the show. It's always a pleasure to have you. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Are
Could
you
be
good?
better. No, I'm not that good, as you can see.
I know,
I'm
yeah, it's like the
reminiscent.
therapy thing. That's like the therapy box where you think of happy memories and then you put something in the background
Yeah,
that makes you feel
there we
better.
go. There we go. That's what we
It's
do.
good. Yeah, and we normally see Farhan in a different attire, but to take a brave man to wear that, and unfortunately, Farhan, it's not. I don't blame
Yeah.
you. I don't blame you for not wearing that. To be honest, it's totally fine. It's good. We had a chat about that actually before you got on air. The Farhan wasn't wearing his United t-shirt, but I am wearing my late night football merch. You can see it, but there it is. So because I like to make Farhan feel a little bit better. It's something he got me. So you kind of we made that. But anyway, let's get into it, and we'll actually calm down a little bit, cool down a little bit from yesterday. I think emotions were high, tensions were high, and we've had a little bit of time to digest, a little bit of time to think. And I do fear that as we go into it, our temperatures will rise again. But we'll see about that. In the meantime, though, if you are enjoying this channel, if you're enjoying the show, please do remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're new, do subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook. We're getting close to 150 subscribers on YouTube, so definitely help us reach that number. And also help us get, we've gone past 500 likes on Facebook. We'd now like to get to 550 there as well. So please do help us with that. I know, comment, just in your comments about what you think about what we're going to talk, because we're going to talk about a few things, some controversial, some not so controversial. We're going to talk about that. So always great to hear your opinion as well. So fine, let's start with that. Season, and as in the title, what went wrong for United? I mean, that's the big question, the gist of it all, isn't it? At the end of the day, because at the start of the season, we were thinking, well, maybe there'll be a title challenge. Maybe top four is can. There are people saying top four is guaranteed. I never thought that, and I'll be honest with that. I thought a comfortable top four is the best that they can hope for, but I never thought that it was guaranteed. But there were people, do you remiss to be not acknowledged? There were people who thought there'd be a title challenge. Go far in the Champions League, maybe get a good cup run. Here we are mid-March, and the only reason we are in mid-March is because we had to get one more week for the rounds of the way. Otherwise, it would have been last week, in early March. But we're here mid-March. United season is over, more or less. At least for me, I don't know what you think, but I think it's over. And again, we're still kind of hanging on for the top four race. Now some people will be like, Arsenal lost today. Yeah, we still got a chance, but no, we've not, because of who they lost to. But where did we go wrong? What happened? What changed over the
Oh
8
man.
months or so,
Oh
maybe
man.
6 months, maybe.
Yeah. There's so many different areas you can pinpoint in terms of like what went wrong. I think for the team specifically this season, and we'll try to keep it to this season. I think the biggest issue for me personally, or I think with this team, is that they didn't upgrade the necessary areas that were lacking. So, for instance, midfield, the CDM. I think we've been crying for a CDM for the last like 10 years. They said, "Here, take Matic. He's like 30. He should be okay." So it's just a testament really to a lot of the the back end issues of the team, which is like up top and decision making and being more profit than football driven. So and it's all kind of unwinding, and not to mention COVID. We played in a COVID era of soccer, and that kind of gave us a bit of nostalgia that we played good football. The away record was hyped beyond necessary belief, and so all of those kind of things wrapped into one, and just kind of unraveling as things progress. I agree with you on this sentiment that I thought we were going to make top four at least. That would be the battle, but I never thought we'd play terrible football. I didn't think we'd concede as we do. Some of these players, just from the beginning of the season when we faced, I think it was Leeds United, until now, I would have never thought it, even beyond my my doubt. I never thought we would get to where we're at right now.
Yeah. I mean, you know what, we can go back to as far as you want to go, not just this season. I mean, there's things there that, I mean, I honestly think that it was a mistake to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a contract extension. And the reason why I say it's a mistake is because if it was me, now I know how football works, and now you can't let a manager go into the third year of the contract and not like he was basically in his final year. So if they were going to keep him on, they had to give him a new contract. But the way I would have done it is I would have said January 1st, if you're still here, automatic extension, you get another 3 years. That's it. We're going to wait till January 1st. We're going to see how you do this season, because this is the pivotal one, right? And you'd make a decision there. But they didn't do that. They just gave him a new contract and then they had to fire him, which they didn't want to do, of course. But I mean, as you pointed out, the midfield was crying out. It's interesting as well when you talk about the upgrades, because central defense, Varane obviously was a cheap signing and a good one as well. I wouldn't say he's been good. He's been injury prone, but he's been good that he's come on. The problem is who he plays with, and that, that doesn't solve the issue, because it wasn't his partner who, his partner isn't the one who should have been dropped. We'll talk about that. I think Jadon Sancho would have upgraded the right wing, but he's now a left winger. So, the right wing is still there. And then you've got the striker situation with Ronaldo. We'll talk about Ronaldo as well. In fact, let's talk about Ronaldo as well, because, this is one of those things that has been talked about. Is Ronaldo a problem? Has he created problems in this team? And I mean, I have an opinion on that, and I will talk about it, of course. But Farhan, what do you think? Do you think the signing of Ronaldo destabilize the team? Did it destabilize the team dynamics? What do you make of that? Because that's a big point that people keep bringing up. That Ronaldo destabilized the team and he made the team worse, and he shouldn't be bought. What do you think?
I think that buy was premature. I don't know if it made the team worse. I felt it was very, United are not at that stage where there was a plan and there was a rebuild, and it felt like they just took a leap forward into trying to mix nostalgia with a goal scorer that could potentially get them to their where they need to be. So I just don't think we're in that stage where we needed Cristiano Ronaldo, because our setup is still not, our foundation isn't as sound as it is, where we felt we can, play that way. So what happened, in my opinion, is a lot of catering went into Ronaldo's style of play, and what we saw was a lot of players, forcing things and trying to do things to, support Ronaldo, like his goal scoring needs, than it was to play as a team. So it felt very, very individualistic. Is he the problem? It's not fair to put it on him per se. I think he is a problem. I don't think he is the problem at United. But yeah.
You know what? I would disagree. I actually disagree with that. I totally disagree with that. I don't think he is. I don't think he's a problem. The thing is, I believe that the first game they played against Leeds, right? They won 5-1 in that one. And I think that fueled a lot of people into thinking that United were good. But it's Leeds. Everybody smashes Leeds. Unless but everybody smashes Leeds. You can't make that judgment. They drew with Southampton, which was 1-0 after that. And then they should have lost to Wolves. And they won by 1-0, which was like a very fluke goal. Wolves, they should have lost that game. Really, Wolves should have won that one. So those are two performances that they had without Ronaldo. I do think they needed, and to be honest, imagine if you didn't have Ronaldo and we let Martial go, and then, whatever happened with Greenwood happened, United would have basically no strikers at this point of time, right? You would be relying on Rashford, who we'll talk about. So and then Cavani's been injured as well pretty much for the whole season. I do think this obsession to sign mid-30 strikers, that's got to stop. But that's not a Ronaldo thing. That's been happening with Cavani, Igalo, Zlatan, all of these guys. They sign all these mid-30 strikers. I don't know why, for some reason. But that's got to stop, because they've got to find somebody who can be a striker for at least 5 years or so. Somebody who can just bang in the goals. And there's players out there. Haaland is not the only one. There's other guys out there as well that you can sign. And I will talk about the striker thing because I have a theory of what's going to happen next season. We'll come to that. But that's something that's going to stop. But I think what Ronaldo, the problem that Ronaldo brought, and if there was a problem, was I think as soon as he came in, there were people who went, well, United should not be challenging for the title. United should not be challenging for the title. And I don't think he's made that impact. And, the thing is, when you expect somebody to be challenging for the title and then, it turns out that they're only challenging for top 4, I don't think he has made United worse, but I don't think he's made them better. And because he hasn't made them better, people think they're worse because they were expecting, because the United were probably 70 last season. This season, they're probably 65, so they're not that worse. But people were expecting maybe them to be 90. And so when you expect something to be 90 and then you get a 65, you're like, oh, he's made them worse. But he hasn't really made them that worse. I don't think so. I do think he has a role to play. If he wants to play next season for United, I don't know. There might be a role for him. I think that there might be a role for him. I don't know that. But is he? I mean, there's a bunch of players I would sell before I'd sell him. But again, it depends on his attitude. It depends on what he wants from his career. That would drive that. So I get that there's individualism, but I don't think he a problem as such.
I think just to echo a lot of what you're saying. Even though I just don't think he was the right. I don't think we needed him at that point in time.
Yeah.
When we did buy him, I felt a lot. There's other issues to address before we signed Cristiano Ronaldo, and that's what I mean. Of course, he saved us, given the circumstances that Cavani, he plays like once every month, and he goes to to Uruguay and stays there for an extended vacation. Martial obviously still in his bad spell in Greenwood. Of course, those things work to our advantage, but it's not as if he hit the ground running. I mean, he did hit the ground running, but there was a period in time in the last few weeks where it's just been, he was missing big chance after big chance. And, a lot of those draws came from the fact that he wasn't converting some of those chances into goals. And we kind of are in that because partly and due to that fact, but I'm not blaming it entirely on him. I think, our style of play also
right.
changed.
He has been bad this season. I mean, let's not, we're not going to show up. I'm not going to say he's been great. I think he's been bad. In many games, he's been bad. In many games, he's saved us. And I think that's to be expected. I think the one thing that I would say, if he is going to stay next season, I think the next manager has to tell him, you're not going to be a sure starter. You're not going to be someone who's going to play 60 games or whatever next season. You're going to play maybe 30 games. That's as long as you accept that, you can stay with us. We'll make sure that you play in the big games. In the important games, we'll need you. As long as your form is good, you'll play in the big games, you'll play the important games. But I'm going to rest you. I'm going to rotate you because I've got to look at
Agreed.
If that is, and if Ronaldo says, no, I want to be the main man, then the man is going to say, you know what, fair enough. Find yourself another club. You're free to move. Right? That's what it is. Now, that's a conversation to and then there's a question of whether the manager will be allowed to have that conversation or not, because he's not sure. But I mean, that's the way I would probably approach that. But again, I would not say that Ronaldo is done, that he should be gone, or that he's the problem, because I think in many ways he's highlighted some of the issues that the squad is facing, and I think that's part of the learning process, the growing process. So anyway, so from my opinion, I don't think Ronaldo destabilized something. I think he brought to light something that we already knew was happening, and he's just made that more visible. That's my opinion. Feel free to let me know in the comment section. What do you think? Do you think he's destabilized the team dynamics? Has he made the team worse? There's all sorts of things, but you can let me know in the comments, obviously. Farhan, we'll move on then, unless you have something more to add to that.
Just one thing. I just want to say, this is the Ronaldo I grew to love. So this is no slander towards you, sir. We appreciate the good times.
But that's not the Ronaldo who came back. Let's be honest. That's not the Ronaldo that came back. That Ronaldo was the explosive winger, who could, go past players and do that. That's fine. That was 12, 14 years ago. The things changed. He's changed. So,
time. By the time is undefeated,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was 14 years ago. It's a different Ronaldo. Not necessarily a bad Ronaldo or a worse Ronaldo, just a different Ronaldo, and probably not one that can do a lot of the things that he was doing before. What do you think about Farhan? We were here, I think, what was it? December, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, we were talking about Rangnick coming in. We were all excited. We were somewhat excited. I think we all thought it was a good appointment at the time, at least. Something that was a change in direction. What do you think? What do you make of it? 4 months in, he's probably not going to get top 4. So that was probably his biggest goal. He's not going to get that. They've not gone beyond what probably. I mean, they'd already gotten into the round of 16 by the time he came in. That was already confirmed because Carrick, they beat Villarreal under Carrick, so that was already done. So he's not necessarily taken them further in the Champions League than they were going to go to anyway. And he also went out of the FA Cup fairly soon. So what do you make of his tenure so far, and what do you think about the future holds for him as far as Manchester United is concerned?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I think, when he first came out, all of us were ecstatic. I think change was needed. So we were all ecstatic for change. It could have been anybody walking through that door. Well, maybe not anybody. Brendan Rodgers, I didn't want to see. Yeah. But I think, given there's a lot, a lot to mention when it comes to Ole. I personally think we are better in a bet. We play better football than we did when Ole left. I think we concede. We still concede, but we concede a lot less than we did before. That back four was leaking goals, and then somewhat of fluid football in between. The front four. I still think he plays a bit of favoritism. He plays some people that I think I would think at this point in time shouldn't be playing, and I'm sure we'll get into that.
Mhm.
But I find him very refreshing to hear in post-match and pre-matches. I think he says a lot of the right things, and I don't know how much blame we can put on him because his hands is essentially tied. The only thing I would criticize, about what we've seen is that the fact that he hasn't been able to. He still plays a bit of favoritism. He adheres to certain people. He doesn't drop, everyone like Carrick. Carrick was someone who was on his way out, but he dropped. We saw the bravery in bravery to an extent where he dropped certain people. But I think personally, I like what Ralph's doing. I hope what he takes from what he's learned here is more influential up top, because I think that's where we'll see the change, or the change that we think we want to see. Because his mind is, as a football director, is probably more sharp than it is about being a coach and managing personalities and whatnot, style of play. He's kind of dictated to some extent, but ultimately you can't really do much with 6 months. And we know he's not going to be here after those 6 months. There's no real talk of him taking over, and I don't think he wants to take over. I think he's someone that is, progressed into the role of working in the back office, whether as a DOF or supporting that
Consultant.
role. Yeah,
Consultant.
consultant.
That's what he's gonna
Yeah,
be. Um,
yeah. So I see him there.
yeah, you know what? That actually makes sense. I would not blame him. The only thing I will give him a pass on the selection of players is I again, it's a conspiracy theory. I have no evidence of this, but I just feel like he's being told who to pick. Because Marcus Rashford comes out, he doesn't pick Marcus Rashford for 2 or 3 games. He comes out with through Romano and he goes, "Oh, I'm considering my future." And then suddenly next game, Marcus Rashford starting. Of course, he's scrapped, so he gets dropped, but he starts the next game, right? Same thing, Harry Maguire. He gets dropped for a game. He comes out on Twitter, goes, "Oh, I could have gone anywhere else. I had other offers, but I want to come to United." And then again, he's back in the team, right? So I just have a feeling that somewhere I think he's being told that he's got to pick certain players. I almost have this other conspiracy theory where I think he's been told that between Rashford, Ronaldo, Maguire, you've got to pick at least 1 or 2 of those players. And then there's a quota that he's got to fill because we need our social media likes. If you don't pick all 3 of them, we're not getting those social media mentions. So you have to pick at least 1 or 2 of those 3. I just have a feeling, because I don't think there's ever been a game where all 3 of them have been dropped. If I may be wrong, somebody can tell me in the chat. But I don't think, and aside from the Middlesbrough when they played, but even then I think Maguire played that game. So maybe that cup game, but otherwise, in any Premier League game or Champions League game at least, and again, aside from that, young boys one, again, meaningless games. But any important Premier League or Champions League games, I don't think there's been one where all 3 of them have been dropped together. So something can. So I just feel that these are conspiracy theories. These are conspiracy theories. I'm saying it right now.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories. So I'll give a pass on that one. But I do feel in terms of the style play, I think the forward play has been much better. But then again, these players are so unfit. I mean, there was the stat, right? And the Oli where they were like 19th or 20th in terms of like running and physical stuff. There was a stat. They were 19th or 20th, basically in physical stats. That's how bad they were. So suddenly to expect them to go first, it's just not going to happen. And we see that 30 minutes, 45 minutes, they're drained, they're done. That I actually made a joke as well. I told Rangnick, if they're going to play only one half, you better make sure they play the second half well more than the first half, because that will be more advantageous. But that's they turn up when they want, right? So yeah, I wouldn't blame him much. I think he's inherited a really bad situation at the club. I think he's done a lot as well. I think he's changed a few things. Sorry about that. I do feel that he's been brave enough to. He's dropped Ronaldo at some points. He's dropped Bruno. He's dropped Rashford. He's dropped Maguire as well. He's dropped Fred as well. He's dropped Pogba as well. So he's done a little bit of Shaw as well. He's dropped Shaw as well. Van Bissaka as well. His son plays very good. And you think about that, I just counted 8 players that he's dropped, and I'm just thinking, what was the last manager doing? Picking 8 players, right? I mean, you think about it that way. Oh my God. But 8 players. So he's done that. It's not been consistent enough, and I just wonder whether that's because he's being told what to do, or whether he's doing it on his own. I don't know that. And then the other wider issue, of course, is if he's being dictated to, how much influence is he going to have when he does go upstairs?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
my big concern with this, because is it, something, oh yeah, we'll pay you, because United will do that. They'll pay you 2 years, yeah, 2 years consultancy. Here you go. Oh, Ralph's on the phone. Oh, just tell him we're busy, because somebody else, yeah, he's just a consultant. Pay him off, it doesn't matter to United. They've got a lot of money. So I don't know. Where this goes. But I do hope Ralph has enough integrity that if they don't give him a proper role, then he should just walk away. That's what
I agree. I think he, they'll be silly. It would be bad PR on Man. I don't think they care, but it would be bad PR and bad decision making. Again, I don't think they care for that fact. But you have someone who comes in, seeing the coach, seeing the team firsthand, seeing the mentality of the squad. Who knows better to support the next head coach than Rangnick. Someone who's there firsthand can give you the background and the culture as to what the team is about. So it's really up to them if they want to use this opportunity as a learning curve, which they should, because it's complete failure on all accounts when it comes to this season. And if they look at it and think that, hey, we're still in the green for whatever reason, from a financial standpoint, or we're in the media and the social media clicks, who knows what the hell that's worth. But I think, winning is the best culture that you can have. And if Man United are serious by any account, and I don't know if, these last few years have shown that we're not as serious as the top teams. So if they were serious, they'd listen to Ralph and adhere to some of his advice.
Well, fine. I mean, we are top of the league. We're just top of the league in the money charts, which is the ones that matter, right? How many Instagram followers do United have? Number one. Who's number one in the sponsorship table? United. That's I think what they look at. But fine. I mean, this is a good point. I think I hear this a lot. I think it's fair. You and I, we're both in Toronto. We both, we both don't support the Maple Leafs, but we know about the Maple Leafs, right? And the reality is the Maple Leafs have not won anything for decades. Literally don't know anything for decades, but their stadiums always sell out. Their merch always sells out, right? They're popular. They're still incredibly popular. For God knows what reasons, they're incredibly popular and they make a lot of money, right? But they're not successful. And that's how American, and I've always feel that's how North American franchises work. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, that's what the owners want Man United to be. They want them to be a franchise that's still going to mint money even when it's not successful. It's pretty common for that to happen. And I just feel that's where United's attention is. They don't care if United win trophies, because for them, it's not about trophies. It's about, well, we're still making money. Also, we got knocked out of the cup. We would have got $2 million for that. Who cares? There's $20 million in the sponsorship, or 20 million pounds in the sponsorship deal, right? Training kit sponsorship deal. So that's where it is at. And I feel that's what they want. That's where the Super League idea comes from as well. It's just trying to franchise something that is probably not a franchisable thing, but for them, that's what it is. But you're right. I mean, you're right. If they're stupid, if they don't want to take advantage of the Glazers, of Rangnick's Glazers football expertise, that's nothing. But Rangnick's football expertise, they want to take that advantage of that. I think that's something they'd be stupid. But you know what it is? They do care about PR. They care about PR. I think the thing is, if Rangnick walked away, and he went, I don't like this, and he gave an interview that made them look bad, they would care about that, and they would know that the fans would turn on them. So therefore, I just have a feeling that that's where I would like Rangnick to make this hard decision, that if you don't give me what I want, I'm walking away, because I don't need this. And then beyond that, it's just a matter of Glazers deciding what they want, whether they want the bad PR or not. That would be my thing. I hope he has that integrity. I don't know if he does. I don't know him personally, but I hope he has that integrity to go, my demands are not met, then I'm not sticking around. Because, ultimately he deserves that, right? We'll talk about players, favoritism and all that. I'm at the point now with, I think I made this joke yesterday. So as soon as I saw Harry Maguire on the team sheet, I was like, that's it, game over, they've lost. Right? And I don't want to make this about Harry Maguire. You know what? I'm tired of talking about Harry Maguire. I'm really tired about it. But I honestly, what's your thoughts on him? What,
yeah.
What?
Well, yeah, I there's a lot came. So you could probably do a whole segment on Harry Maguire,
I know.
and just have the highlights or the low lights playing in the background.
There
You
are
know,
many videos, by the way. There are videos that people have done compilation of Harry Maguire's defending. You can actually find them
oh
on
boy,
Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, there's literally
yeah.
videos about that.
I think, part of me feels, I think Harry Maguire I feel sorry for him. I actually feel sorry for him. The reason being is I remember when I found out he was captain, that was probably the worst decision that could have happened to him as a footballer, because the reality, the fact that he became captain made, in my opinion, things like amplified to a degree. There's so many different opinions on him. He's complete utter garbage, and some people, on the other spectrum, think that he needs to be unlocked with a proper CDM and whatnot. So, part of that argument is, for me personally, is absurd. An $80 million defender. You look at some of the
Pounds,
defenders
not
that
$80 million, $80 million pounds.
yeah, sorry, 80 million pounds, English tax on that. He's slow, he makes consistent mistakes. I think we can attribute to 10. I can remember personally 10 goals, at the fault of Harry Maguire. I think again, I feel sorry for him in the sense where that captaincy sticks with him, and we still have to see him play because of that captaincy. That's really the only thing that's holding him, in my opinion, to the lineup still. If he wasn't a captain, I personally think he would be benched in a lot more games than he was in the past. But there's the logic of like having him come in even on his second year or first year, where the captain's armband was just another testament to bad decision making. He's slow. He makes mistakes consistently. Even in the game yesterday, what was he doing in midfield when pressing Griezmann? That testament alone left Dalot with two attackers trying to figure out. So he makes mistakes that are costly, even with a CDM and with a proper backing. I still feel like he will make mistakes that will cost him goals, and that, to me, is not an $80 million defender. I look at his counterparts. Sorry, $80 million. Let's make that clear. It's pounds. It's not dollars.
$80 million pounds.
So,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
more.
so
That's $100 million probably now. And we're Canadian, so without the Canadian dollars, it's even more because
yeah. So just to close, I think I compare him to the people who are bought at that price point, like the Van Dijks. I think Ruben Diaz was a lot cheaper than that.
55,
But
50, 60,
I think
60 million.
I look at 60 million. I look at Ruben Diaz, and I'm just in awe at the simple fact that these players are worlds ahead of him in terms of IQ, in terms of skill set, and it's just shocking to see the man still exist. In he at this point you gotta save grace for him too. It's embarrassing that these clips you're talking about, these lowlights make rounds. I'm sure kids are just watching him at this point, ready to pounce on him on social media to think so.
Yeah.
I just want to, I pity him. On the other side, I don't feel sorry for him because he's just not up to par for, what we need as a defender,
I don't really feel sorry for him, but I'm past the point of feeling sorry for him, because you feel sorry for someone when you feel, okay, this person is trying and he's not getting it. He's just not good enough. And he's not good enough. But I don't think he's trying. I think, the stories coming out about how he was upset that Ronaldo's upstaging him. Who are you? Whatever, so these kind of stories, and I don't know how true they are, by the way, we should point that out. We don't know if these are true or not. But if it is true, then that is something, it's definitely not a good look. Yeah.
And can I just say, when did we become a soap opera? Who's leaking all these stories at the club?
Who's leaking? Well, there's
I personally think it's these English players, that have relationships with, some of these personally, but that's another.
That's a conspiracy that's moving out. It's probably the English players, because the English media is releasing it, right? I don't see why Bruno or Ronaldo has any reason to pussy up to English journalists. So it's probably the English players, and again, it's building those relationships, right? That's the way that they use them. I've not played a few games. Oh, put it out in the media that I'm unhappy. Tell people that I'm considering my future. That I'm the captain. I just have a feeling with Maguire. So I just feel like he thinks of the captaincy as something that he's, like, how you sometimes you go, I'm the captain, I'm the captain. I almost feel like he probably goes around, in his room, and I must say, he probably goes around in his room saying, I'm the captain of Manchester United, I'm the captain of Man United. I think almost like he's trying to convince himself that he's the captain and that he's the person who's supposed to be listened to, as opposed to making other people, like, obviously you can't demand respect. You can command respect. You can't demand it. And I don't think Maguire is someone who commands it. And to be honest, I disagree. Even if he wasn't the captain, I think he would be starting. And the reason for that is they paid 80 million for him. They paid 80 million for him. They're not, they need to show that he's, he has to start, because, it's again, Arsenal, they can get rid of Aubameyang and they can, throw him out quickly. They did that, and that was good that they did it. It's helped him. It's helped the club. United, will they do that with Maguire? I don't know. I don't know how they will do that. And what, Fine, to another point, we said if he has a CDM, he'll do well. I'm not going to buy that, because for years I've been saying about Paul Pogba that if he's a 90 million pound midfielder, you don't need a CDM then to put in, 7 out of 10. Fair enough, if you get a CDM, you'll put in 9 out of 10 performances, maybe, but you shouldn't need a CDM to do well. So I didn't cut Pogba that slack. I'm not going to cut Maguire that slack. I'm not going to say
Agreed.
that he needs a CDM and he needs a back three. No, you've been paid, you're the captain, you think, and imagine that as well. I mean, it's 1-0 down, you need a goal. Would Real Madrid take off Sergio Ramos? They wouldn't, if he was playing for them. I know he's not playing for them anymore, but when Prime Ramos, would they take him off? No. I know he's not the captain, but would Liverpool take off Van Dijk? They wouldn't. Even if they 1-0 down at the end of the goal, they wouldn't. United did it. I was telling that they did it, and he was like, I think apparently fans were booing him or cheering him or something. That fans were cheering that he was gone. That they were cheering that he was gone. So
I didn't see that.
It was like that. That's just, it just shows, right? Anyway, move on from Maguire, because I really don't want to talk much about him, because we've already spoken a lot about him, but I'm over him, and I hope for his sake, I hope for everyone else's sake, I hope I don't see him starting any important games.
That's what I meant. I hope I don't see him personally for his own sake and like everybody else's sake. I think that ship has sailed, and I agree to your point. You should just pull the Band-Aid and bench the guy. We've seen that with top teams do that. You don't perform, you're gone. You look at Chelsea with Kepa, the goalkeeper Kepa, $72 million. Where have you seen a goalkeeper purchased to that
the most expensive bench player, the most expensive bench player, I guess, at this one.
Bench player, you know? Exactly. So it's just a matter of pulling the Band-Aid off and recognizing that this is not working. So I agree with you, though.
Well, to be fair, Kepa was a manager for Chelsea, right? He was Chelsea. I don't know. There's got to be on the bench, because the manager's always on the bench, isn't he? But no, he's doing two. I'm kidding. But I was like, it never gets old. For me, it is a Kepa manager joke never gets old. It's obviously. Anyway, let's talk about Marcus Rashford, because I think that's another player that we do need to talk about now. Again, I feel for the guy. He's had to take a lot of stick, but I said this. I personally feel that Marcus Rashford, he needs to make a decision this summer as to what he wants from his career. And does he want to be a footballer? Does he want to be a footballer for Man United? Those are two different things. Does he want to be a politician or an activist? And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mean that in a scornful way or a sarcastic way. There's nothing wrong with that. If that is something that he's passionate about and that's something that he feels, he should think about that. But does he want to do that? These are decisions that he needs to make, because if he wants to be a footballer and if he wants to be a footballer for Man United, I just feel, I just feel that he's lost his love for the club. I just feel that, because if you watch some of his old videos when he used to play, he had a smile on his face. You could see that enthusiasm. He was happy. I just don't feel he's happy anymore at the club. I don't know. I just feel like he's lost that love for United. What do you think, Farhan? Where do you stand on this whole Marcus Rashford issue?
Yeah, I know I said I have sympathy for Harry Maguire. Like, I don't have sympathy like I have sympathy for Marcus Rashford. I adore him. I adore his his stance on food injustice and whatnot. I think he's I remember vividly when he jumped onto the scene. I think he's done a lot for the club. I think he played football in a period when he probably should have took care of himself, because now I'm looking at him playing and I think, what was the point of all that? What do I think of him right now? I think he's in his head. I really think a lot of the stuff I see him do, and the mistakes that he makes, is almost as if a footballer that's just overthinking everything and trying to show a little bit more than the average does. And I think if if he, on the pitch, if he keeps to the simple stuff, it'll be beneficial for him. But but he's playing, and Ralph even said that what would it take for Rashford to be successful, and he said just do the stuff he does in training. So it's clear as day he trains well, and there's still a footballer in him. It's just a matter of mentally, does he want to play football? Does he want to play football here? He also does get the most harassment in terms of some of the most world-renowned athletes. He's up there with like LeBron James, and he's only 24, 25 years old. So it makes you wonder what warrants some of the hate that he gets. So I have a lot of sympathy for Marcus Rashford. I think he's a phenomenal footballer if he puts his head to it. It's just that there's many different factors that are affecting him in a lot of ways, and he's really got to sit with himself, like you said, and ask these hard and tough questions about whether or not he wants to play here, whether or not he wants to play football, whether or not the situation at Manchester United is for him. But whether it's here or somewhere else, I bid him well. He's one of the few that I think that really cares about this team and really cares about the city of Manchester for that fact, or the team as well, and wants to succeed, but is just not able to do so for whatever reason, if it's physically, mentally, or whatever. I hope he takes an extended break, in these 3 weeks, and goes somewhere warm and just gets his head right, because this is
yeah. Well, there's international games, so I don't know if he's going to be called up. I hope he isn't called up, but if he's called up, then he might be going for that.
What do you think?
See, I I haven't given up on Rashford the way I've given up on Maguire. I do question why he starts when he does start, because I don't think he deserves to start right now. But I haven't given up on him to the point where I go, if he does start, I go, oh, that's a match lost. I don't do it. With Maguire, I've given up. Like I've lost all hope for him at this point. But with Rashford, I do feel there's a footballer there. With the right coach, with the right training, he could be something still. I think he still has the time to be something for the club. The problem that I see with him is this is the first time that he's had to really face that kind of criticism. He had a bad, the World Cup, he missed the penalty at the World Cup, the Euros. He missed the penalty at the Euros. So he already had that pressure. Then he had an injury, coming back from injury. Then he's, loses the manager who showed a lot of faith in him. So the manager's gone. Now there's a new manager who doesn't play the way that he wants to play. Where his game has been all about counter-attack, pace. The new Rangnick doesn't play that way. So now he's got to, adapt to that. Can he adapt to that? So these kind of things that requires character, right? This is where you find out about player's character. I think up until this point, he's had a pretty, by United standards, he's had a pretty easy ride, so to speak. They've not won trophies, but there hasn't necessarily been a lot of pressure on him. He's had good seasons. He's got 10 goals, 15 goals, 20 goals. Even when he wasn't playing, we were supporting him. We're saying, why is Mourinho not picking him? Why is Mourinho not picking him? So there was all those things. I think this is the first time he's actually really been tested in his career. And I just wonder, mentally, has he developed that resilience and that strength to go, this is from that time for me to, knuckle down and to work. And when somebody puts out stories like Romano did about whether he's considering his future, that kind of turns people off as well, because this is your first bad season. And if you're already thinking about leaving, then what does that say about you as a footballer, right? So that's just what it is. And like I said, if he wants to leave, then he needs to have that hard conversation with himself. Does he want to play somewhere else? Would he be better off playing somewhere else? Then that's fine, right? You decide that. I wish him all the best if he decides that United is not the place for him. No problems with that. I mean, everybody, has a right to do what's best for their career, and that's not a problem. But if he does want to play for United, I think he again needs to have that conversation with the coach, whatever, like what's his role? What can he do to improve? Like, can he, be mentally strong to, yeah, sorry about that. Does he have that strength of character to go, this is it, I'm going to be at United, I'm going to work my butt off to improve and to prove to the manager that he's wrong. And really work. And that's a desire. I mean, this is just a matter of desire. When he comes on, he doesn't look like, again, like I said with that, Maguire as well before, and then Rashford, they look like players who know they don't have a place in the team anymore. Even Bissaka, they look like players who know they're not starters anymore. And so they play like that, right? Most players, when they drop, they have that mentality of like, I want to get back into the team. I feel like these guys have already said they're not getting back into this team no matter what we do. And so they're kind of
entitlement.
It's almost that, right? I don't want to say it's entitlement with Rashford. I mean, it's a hard word to use, but I do feel there is a sense of, there's a comfort. There was a comfortness for them that they knew they were going to start every week, even no matter how crap they were under Oli. And now they're kind of like shaken. Oh, wow, I've been dropped. Why have I been dropped? Why is this 19-year-old kid starting in front of me? But anyway, but I do feel that, again, the problem is the same thing. Left wingers, Sign the right winger, he became a left winger. So there's another left winger now that's got to go out. So anyway, that I don't know if Rashford can be a right winger. I actually thought he could be a decent right winger because
I feel the same way. I think I think he's all right on the right wing. Like I don't think he's terrible per se. Coming down there. There was a point in where when it was Greenwood, Martial, and Rashford, they were very much interchangeable. And I think Ole had that. Before he left, he had that idea of like, with Sancho, Greenwood, and Rashford, just interchangeable at all fronts, and so having fluid attackers. And I still think that can be the case. We've seen games where Rashford starts on the right, switches over to the left, and then comes back to the right. So there's that element, but it's just not producing. It's not producing, and so
you know what? Actually, Rashford is pretty creative. He actually has a very good right foot. He can put some very good passes and crosses in. But for some reason, I don't know what's happened to him in the last 6 months. He's refused to do it. It's like, I want to take a shot on because I need to prove to Ronaldo I'm the main man. I don't know what it is. But anyway, let's get the final part of it. Final part of the segment. Brian, obviously something's happening. Clear out's probably coming. Well, no. We should not say that. There should be a clear out. Whether there will be or not, we don't know because that's not how the owners operate. But if there were to be a clear out, Brian, who are the players that you need to see get out? Like, who are the players that you would say definitely? And let's leave aside the youth players because we want to talk about that. But just in terms of the first team players, and you could include some players on loan as well if you want. But which are the players that you definitely want to see gone from the team for the summer? Doesn't mean it will happen, but we can speculate.
This is gonna be.
Who do you want to keep? If you want to go the other way, who do you want to keep?
We could, who do I want to keep? I want to keep Sancho, but I do want to say who I want to get rid of, and that's almost 90% of these players. I think they're not cut out to play for this team or play for professional at this level right now. If we want to name drop, I want Maguire gone. I think David De Gea, he's having a remarkable season. But we have to really talk about his distribution and the fact that he doesn't come out for the ball. It's literally we're playing a man down at that point when it comes to build up. Luke Shaw, his time has come. I'm tired of seeing him and hearing about how he's been here since a teenager, 8 years now or whatnot. 6 years now, sorry.
No, it's been 8 years. 8 years now.
8 years, yeah.
8 years.
I want him gone. Wan-Bissaka, he's not on par for any right back for in a lot of Premier League teams, let alone the top 6 per se. Matic, please go to AC Milan, have fun over there, or Roma with your boy Jose Mourinho. Who else? Jesse Lingard. He's leaving, but he's gone. But we had 2 opportunities to sell this young man, this grown man. He's not young, I should say. He's
younger than us. Way younger than me, at least.
He's younger. I don't know how old he is. I think we're age mates.
29. He's 29.
Okay, so 2 chances to sell him, and yet he sits on the bench every single game. What purpose does that serve for anybody, ourselves and him, just to have someone that sits on the bench for that part?
Because if you sell him, you gotta buy someone. You sell him for 15 and you gotta buy someone. You don't need to waste money on buying players. You can pay Jesse Lingard. How much would you pay him for? He probably makes about 100 grand. Let's take conservatively 100 grand a week. So if we keep him for 4 months, right? 4 months, how much is that? 400 into 4, 16, 1.6 million, I guess. Yeah, 1.6.
There was
million.
Dennis. There was a player that they could have bought. I think a midfielder that
5 million. They had to pay 5 million to buy a midfielder, but you can pay 2 million, and you only pay him 2 million for the 5 months. Farhan. So you're going to save 3 million. You don't look at it as 2 million. But you save 3 million. Plus, of course, the wages that you have to pay the guy that you're signing for 5 million as well. So because he's going to ask for a little bit more. So it's all about the money. Follow the money.
It's kind of silly though. Honestly, it's kind of silly.
It is, but that's the way it works, right? That's the accounting brains that work. If we sell Lingard, we have to buy a player. Lingard is like a new signing. We've kept him. There you go.
Absolutely not. Should I go on, or do you want?
Bruno? Would you keep Bruno? Pogba, Bruno.
Pogba's gone. I think Pogba's gone.
If
he
Pogba said, I'm going to sign a new contract if you pay me 500 grand a week or 400 grand a week, would you do that deal?
right now, no, because it doesn't make sense. When he signed on, I'm sure there was promises made that he would be the focal point of this team, and those promises were never kept in a way where he was never surrounded with proper midfield players. I'm not making excuses for the man, but like he's clearly not been he's been misled to an extent from Manchester United. Now, has he warranted that price point, 400,000? No, because that's what's gonna get us into the same position that we are. We have David De Gea, we have Juan Mata, who sits on the bench and is handsomely getting paid ridiculous amount of money. That's another player who should get the hell up out of here. And so yeah, in terms of we need to keep players because we need a squad for next year. But essentially, I think all these guys, Bruno included. I think Bruno was shown out this. His flaws has been shown this year. He produces a lot of goals, but he turns over the ball quite a bit. He's very erratic. I think someone said online that he plays as if like there's a shot clock. There's like a shot call in soccer, and that's what
that's happens in basketball, right? There's a shot clock.
Yeah, that's a reference in basketball where you have a 24-second shot clock. I think the person who tweeted that he's actually Canadian. Aaron, Aaron Muniz. So I think a lot of these guys need to go. I think the fullbacks need to go. I don't think Dalot is particularly good. I don't think Tellez is good. I don't think I'd keep Fred because of the simple fact that we need a destroyer in midfield. But I just don't think McTominay is anything remotely close to.
Yeah, no. So you finish McTominay, but finish without McTominay, then I'll ask you.
I was gonna say I don't think McTominay is anything close to even a squad player for the team. I don't want to see. Fred is like a volatile crypto coin. Some guy said I'm quoting people on Twitter that said, but he's a volatile coin that goes up, goes down. Currently he's here, so at this moment he stays. But outside of Sancho, I really can't see anybody on this team staying.
Yeah. Well, Fred, you said Fred is you need a midfield destroyer. Destroy. Is that you're talking about destroy for the opposition or for United? He doesn't he destroys both sides. Oh my God.
What do you think? What do you have to say?
Well, I'll keep Sancho. I'll keep Elanga. I think we need one more year to see where Elanga. Well, he's not first team player, established first team player. I know he's still young, so because he's young, so we still need to keep a year for him. Yeah. I would keep. Well, you know what? I agree. I wouldn't keep Tellez or Shaw, honestly, because I don't think Shaw is good enough. I don't think Tellez is competition enough for him to improve. If you really want to see, because I think that, because if you want Shaw, you can keep one of them to be a backup, but you can't keep both of them. So you got to get rid of one and then get a proper first teamer and then see if Shaw can have that sort of, resurgence again, maybe. But you need to get rid of one of them. I would keep Dalot again as backup. I think Bissaka should go. We'll like to see if Ethan Laird can step up. He's done very well in the championship this season. So hopefully he might get a chance next season. We'll see. And then, I would keep either Fred or McTominay. I think, again, you don't need to keep both. You'll keep one of them. Depends on who the manager prefers. And then I think the manager might prefer McTominay over Fred. I just have a feeling that the manager might. But that, it's you're choosing between, molded cheese or molded bread, right? I mean, it's like, yeah.
McTominay doesn't even play midfield for Scotland. He doesn't play midfield. He plays as a defender. So the fact that he plays midfield for us is shocking. And yesterday he was a passenger in that game at most. Fred was clearly the better midfield player.
I think the last two games, Fred has been much better than McTominay. I think for some reason he started doing nutmegs and tricks and flicks. I don't know where. I think he suddenly realized that he's Brazilian. Maybe he's schizophrenic, and he forgets that he's Brazilian from time to time, and then suddenly he realizes, I'm a Brazilian, so I've got to do this. I don't know. But yeah, that's an individual choice. Some people prefer Fred, some people prefer McTominay. We're talking about squad players really. At the end of the day, we're not really talking about first teamers. We're not. So it doesn't matter who you keep. At the end of the day, I wouldn't keep Pogba for any amount. Honestly, I would say Pogba, and I hope Pogba says as well. I'm not signing a new contract. Just go.
He's gone.
Just go because it's not worked out for you. The Premier League is not for you. You go to La Liga, go to Serie A. The pace is slow. You'll do better. You'll have more fun. Playing, there, and it will be better for you. Like, it's just better for your career. Just go. This is not, the Premier League is really not meant for him. He's not.
I agree. I love Pogba. But I agree. I think he just needs to. a change of.
Yeah, it's not a
scenery.
criticism. This is just the way some players are just not it's meant for certain reasons. And some players, do well in other leagues. That's just what it is. He could go to PSG. They don't need players. So that's somewhere that he could go. But I mean, hopefully, yeah, he moves on. I would sell Bruno for the right price. I actually would. I would sell Bruno for the right price. I would. If he wanted to go, it's like he's going to be, he's going to whine it. Forget about his play. He's just been whining so much last couple of games. I don't know what he has to be upset about, but he just goes on in the refs. He goes on and everybody is like, I don't know what's going on in his mind. I don't know if he feels like he has something to prove to Ronaldo. He has something to prove to someone. I don't know. But I would sell him. I would actually, if somebody offered a loan deal for Marcus Rashford, I would ask him to consider it. I'd say, go away for a year, see if you like it, right? Maybe he just needs, a year away from United. Maybe see if you still enjoy football. Maybe it's United. Maybe United other problem in his life. Maybe, playing for United isn't enjoyable, but maybe he goes to another club and he enjoys it there and he wants to play there. Maybe I would consider it if the terms were right. But that's too radical. I don't think that will happen.
No, I didn't say Rashford, but I wouldn't sell Rashford unless you wanted to.
I wouldn't sell him. I would still keep him for a year. Just, but I would say if he wanted to go on loan, if somebody offered the right terms, say, yeah, sure, go away for a year, go play somewhere else, see if you enjoy football. Because I feel at this point, there is a possibility that he doesn't enjoy playing for United. And maybe he doesn't enjoy playing football at all. Or maybe he just doesn't enjoy playing for United. So maybe if he plays somewhere else, he'll rediscover his love. Like I said, it's a very radical thing. It won't happen. I don't think anybody is even going to take Rashford on loan anyway. But if that's something I would consider. But I haven't given up on him. Like I said, I haven't given up on him. I still feel there's a player there. I still feel that he could still do something. So I'm still partial towards that. I would loan out Harry Maguire and Bissaka. And why? Because nobody's going to buy them. Somebody's going to say, we'll give you 10 million pounds for Maguire. This is going to, 10 million.
Hold on. You don't think Harry Maguire will be, but if we sold him for 10 million, you don't think no team would buy him? I think I think there's a market.
But I think the Glazers not Glazers, sorry, who's that? Richard Allen will laugh in everyone's face. 10 million pounds for Maguire. On the balance sheet, it is written that he's worth 80 million. I'm not taking less than 80 million for him. We're not buying him. Honestly, that's what I think. And same with Bissaka. Who's going to buy him? Probably somebody might buy him for 10 million, 15 million. I'm sure somebody would pay 20 million for Maguire, by the way. I think 10 million is too low. Somebody might pay 20 million for him. Maybe.
What about 40 million? 40 million? You don't think no one would pay 40 million for Maguire?
40 is too much. No, because again, only English clubs would pay 40 million for a defender.
That's what I mean.
No English club is going to buy him. Right, so he's possibly going to have to go abroad because honestly, which team really needs him? I mean, I honestly feel he's the worst starting centre back at the moment in the Premier League. Even Burnley and Watford's defenders are better than him. Starting ones, I'm sure there's some on the bench that are probably worse. But so which team is he going to go to realistically to make them better, aside from the sides that come up from the Championship? And they're not going to pay 40 million pounds for a defender. So you're looking at going abroad. So I honestly, you just try to loan him. See some club in Serie A or some club in League One. Maybe somebody, if he's willing to go there, or maybe Bundesliga, just try and get him to one of those clubs, and maybe he plays well there. Maybe they can get 30, 40 million after that for him. At this moment in time, I don't think anybody's going to pay more than 20 million for him. So and same with Bissaka. I don't think he's going to command more than 10, 15 million.
Absolutely not.
And they're not going to sell them. The ego is too much to sell at those prices. So that's where I see it with that happening. But at least if they go somewhere else and they play well, you might get something out of it. So that's just my opinion on those two. Other than that, I mean,
I think we agree.
Cavani's got to go. Matic has got to go. Mata's got to go. De Gea, the problem with that is his wages. Again, 350 grand a week. Who's going to take him? Nobody. So it's fine. I think they can do another season with him while they fix other issues. I mean, see, we're talking hypotheticals here because I tell you what's going to happen in a second. I'm going to tell you what's actually going to happen because we're talking about what should happen, and none of this is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I think a couple of those players we mentioned will stay for another year or two. But personally, I just don't think a lot of them are cut out. I think both of us share the same sentiment that these guys are not cut out.
And I would say that I said this, like if any of those players left, right, at the end of the season, none of those players to me seem like, oh, we've definitely got to keep this guy. We can't let go of this guy. Sancho, maybe, but even Sancho, I'm not so bothered if somebody pays the right price and he goes, I don't mind. If somebody pays 100 million for Sancho, I'd be happy with that. I'd be like, yeah, we can use that for something, right? So there's no player there that I would say, if they're gone, I'd be like, oh my God, this player is gone. What are we going to do? There's nobody. And that's the sad part. But I'll tell you what's going to happen, Farhan. Tell me if I'm right or tell me if I'm wrong. This is what's going to happen. We're all thinking Erik ten Hag is going to come. We're all thinking they're going to get somebody like, and there's lots of good managers out there. You can get Amorim, you can get Gaultier. Thomas Tuchel, by the way, has been linked as well. Thomas Tuchel. And that's not happening.
Come on, man.
Because Chelsea apparently are in crisis. So now Thomas Tuchel is going to drop down to a Europa League team or a Conference League team, right? Because Chelsea are in crisis. I mean, forget the fact that PSG might, want him back. They probably won't go back to PSG. But forget the fact that there are other clubs that, are out there that will be interested. Juventus might need a new manager after what happened today. They'll need a new manager. You could go to Juventus. You could go to so many big clubs. Inter Milan maybe might want him as well. So you could go to all of those big clubs. But no, he's going to come to Manchester United. Right, that's what's going to happen. But here's what's going to happen. They're going to bring in Mauricio Pochettino. And I said this, a part of me is going to die. A part of me is going to die. They bring Mauricio Ben. I'm not even saying if, I'm saying when. When they're going to bring him in, a part of me is going to die, but they're going to bring in Mauricio Pochettino. And who's going to be the first signing that they make, Farhan? Can you guess?
Harry Kane.
Exactly. Because they're 150 million pounds. We've got Harry Kane. Look at how much money we spend. Yay, everything is solved. The social media clicks, likes, yay, we stuck it to Tottenham, we stuck it to Premier League, we got the best striker. That's what's going to happen. And then the midfield, it's okay. You've got McTominay and you've got, Fred. You can manage for a season. That's okay. Or in fact, if they have a lot of pressure, they'll sign Declan Rice for 80 million pounds. And then you've got two that you spend 230 million pounds on. And then, defender, it's okay. You got Maguire. Manage with Maguire, keep those guys. So and then no right winger, of course. There's no right winger.
The sad part is I can absolutely see everything you said. Like I'm visually seeing this happen, and a part of me is just literally being like, oh my gosh. Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's just fun. And you know what? Harry Kane, there's a tweet. There's actually a post out there somewhere. The Harry Kane is excited for a reunion with Mauricio Pochettino at Manchester United.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, it's like, and it's just, oh my God,
you know what? I don't have any faith. It's literally everything I've seen thus far just renews the fact that I do not have faith in management making the right decisions. And you're absolutely right. They've been infatuated with Pochettino since his time at Tottenham. For whatever reason, didn't want to poach him at that point in time. At another opportunity when he got fired, Ole's season was, at the end of the season, they had an opportunity there to hire him. Did not hire him, and now here he is, like at the end of a turmoil season. Not to, there's reasons there for PSG losing, but he definitely is the person that needs to take blame. And here, they're gonna botch it, and they're gonna choose him over Ten Hag, and we're just gonna be, picking up the pieces, and here we go again, Harry Maguire, blah, blah, blah. Exactly as you put it. I can see it happening, especially with the links of Haaland going potentially to Man City, Mbappe going to Real Madrid. It's clear as day that, with the strikers that exist out there, top big names, a smart team would think, okay, who's the next up and coming young boy that we can sign or whatever. But Manchester United, no, we go for nostalgia FC over here. Nostalgia FC.
Well, it's not nostalgia with Kane, actually. It's more like, because he's got the social media following, right? That's the thing.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, because they could sign Victor Osimhen, Alexander Isaac. They've also got him in Vlahovic, which is gone, so it's not an option anymore. But I do like Victor Osimhen. I like, I do like the look of Alexander Isaac. I know someone who's been talking about them a lot. They could go for
Jonathan David.
Jonathan David, yeah, that's another good guy. Oh, Canadian, yeah, what would they sign? Wouldn't that be great, right? Jonathan David, and that's another good sign that they could make. There's a bunch of others as well. Like lots of good players that they could sign, but they're not going to do that because those guys didn't. The first thing, how many Twitter followers that Jonathan David had? He's in Canada. Canadians, they don't know anything about football. Forget it. No, we don't need the Canadian market.
But that's part of me thinks that we've done it in the past. We signed certain players like Martial. Martial wasn't a big name player. That's why I think Van Gaal was one of the probably the best coach post Fergie. I'm looking at it now. I used to think Ole was, but I think it might be Van Gaal because of what the signings he got were kind of unique in the sense where he bought players and gave a lot of youth a chance. Think about how many youth played for Manchester. Marcus Rashford came up out of there, but think about all the other ones that became nobodies, but essentially played for the team. Like
Donald Love. I know Tyler Blackett. Donald Love, Borthwick Jackson, Cameron Borthwick Jackson. Then you got the other, Timothy Fosu-Mensah started as well. Axel Tuanzebe would also have got a chance, but he got injured, so he didn't get an opportunity to play. They also had who else was there? There was a few others.
The Dutchman, I can't remember his name.
That was Fosu-Mensah.
Fosu-Mensah, yeah, there we go. Yeah. So he played.
Yeah, there was quite a few. Will Keane, I think, as well got a chance. There was quite a few others. Michael Keane sucked as well, but anyway, he got a chance as well. As did Andres Pereira. There were quite a few who came through. Yeah. But
so that's my point essentially is that since then we've not made right decisions, and we've not given time of proper backing. So I just don't think.
Farhan, if they didn't sign another British player for the next 5 years or whatever, I would be so happy. Like I'm so done with signing British. Honestly, I guess like by signing overpaid British players, I'm like, that's what, just let's just stop. I have nothing against British players. I think this is the most technically gifted generation of English talent that's existed probably since 1966. But we're not signing those kind of players, are we? We're signing the prima donnas. The one player that I would like, though, and I will say this, nobody's talked about this. The one English player that I do like is Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa. That's the one guy. I don't think a lot of him, but I'm hearing things about him. He's doing very well. That's one player that I would say, okay, if you're going to sign an English player, if you really have to sign an English player, sign him. Don't sign Declan Rice, sign him. And they don't play in the same position, by the way. I'm not saying sign him instead of Declan Rice. You sign a CDM, you can, and there's a lot of free agents out there, by the way, that you could sign right now. So sign a CDM. If you really want to have an English player, sign him, because I think he could be something. But we all know how that's going. I'm also getting rid of Donny van de Beek. Oh my! You know what?
He made the wrong decision.
Of going to Everton, that's right. Yeah, he made the wrong decision. I don't think he should have gone to Everton. He should have gone to Crystal Palace.
He should have gone to Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
he would have played in that midfield. Maybe not as much as he's playing right now, but I think playing with Patrick Vieira would have been beneficial. I was excited for him, and then he got one conversation with Frank Lampard, and it's just like you deserve. You know what his management have made wrong. I don't know. I don't want to critique it anyhow. I just think he's made bad decisions, and his time at Manchester United, that's another player.
Yeah, unless they bring in Ten Hag, then okay, fine, keep him for a year, see if he can.
No.
Well, they played together.
No.
Eric Ten Hag actually.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But no, please go. He's not cut out for this league. He's not cut out for.
He might not be
physicality.
He might not be, but I mean that's the thing. I was thinking, if you go to Palace, you learn from a CDM, because the criticism about Donny was never about his offensive play. It was always about his defensive play. Can he do the defensive job? And you learn under CDM, you learn under Vieira how to do that. Vieira was a master box-to-box player, probably one of the best box-to-box players that the Premier League has ever seen. And he could have learned that role from him and understood it and done it. And instead, he chose to go to Lampard, who's And
now he's fighting for relegation.
Yeah, and he's basically playing. He's playing in a team that has no defensive support. So it makes him look worse, because he's playing in a team that has no real defensive support. And so it makes Donny van de Beek is not good defensively. So he's not really doing anything to change perception. I think that was a wrong decision. I don't know what changed his mind, but yeah. I mean, I think he's one who needs to go as well. But the only thing is, again, if Ten Hag is there, I would say he might have a chance. I mean, that's just a logical thing. I'm not saying he's going to succeed, but maybe he'll at least get games. If Ten Hag is playing is a manager, at least he will get games to show his work. But without that, he's not even going to get a chance. It's going to be Donny van de bench again. So yeah, I mean, that's one other player. Yeah, there's so much money that's wasted, isn't it? So much money that's just gone down the drain. 1.4 billion or something that they put in. And so all just talking about it here, we literally, I think probably if you do the count, Harry Maguire is 80, Van Bissaka is 50, we got Shaw for 30, Telles for about 15. So that's how much we got. Pogba is about 90. So that's 200 million, and then another 250, and then you're probably looking at about 280, 295. So we almost got to 300 million that we just said get rid of. The stats were saying 300 million just to get rid of like that. And then you've also got you also talked about Dalot. You don't want to see Dalot. That's another 15 million.
Yeah, please.
Fred is another 50 million. There we go. Fred's another 50 million that that we're saying. Is Martial going to say he says he wants to go. He says he doesn't want to stay United. So he actually came out of interviews. So that's another 40 million or whatever they paid for him. So that's another 400 million that we just said 400 million just like that. And and we're not even we're not even talking about other players. We're just talking about these that we desperately want to see on. It's just it's a waste.
It's a mess. It's a waste, and June can't get here any sooner. That's all I can say. Outside of
May. Not June, but May, because our season will be over in May. We won't have any finals to look forward to. So May.
Maybe they'll try and surprise us in these next few weeks with who they're going, who they're gonna sign as who's gonna be the next manager. I feel like that's what's gonna happen because we don't have football for 3 weeks, right?
Oh no,
And
they probably have like the winning team. Yeah, that's
yeah,
the winning team, and they got, but they might have another sponsor lined up. Actually, you never know. They might have another noodle sponsor or a water bottle sponsor or something that is probably lined up, to come through.
yeah.
That's gonna. But yeah, no, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Can I ask you one question though
Sure, yeah.
before you go on to this? Who do you want to see as the coach for the team next year? And
My first choice would be Eric Ten Hag. But you know what? Somebody mentioned Christophe Gaultier, who actually took Lille to the title last season, and he's doing pretty well with Nice this year. So I think that'd be a nice, what do you call it, left field appointment. I'm going to confess I've not seen him in action. I've not seen Lille play a lot. I've not seen Nice play a lot, so I'm not going to pretend that I've seen them. But as any manager who can win Liga without PSG, outside of PSG, I think they have to have something about them. So I would like to see maybe Christophe Gaultier. They're not going to look for him, but that might be a good left-wing appointment. I also like Ruben Amorim, again from Sporting Lisbon. Again, another manager who's done well, again winning the title with someone that's not Benfica or Porto. That's a big achievement. So again, another sort of left-field appointment would be nice. But if it's Pochettino or Rangnick, I would give it Rangnick. That's what I would do. I just tell Rangnick, please stay another season. I don't want to see Pochettino. I really don't, because I fear for him. Because honestly, when you think about it, Farhan, if he's going to lose games in September, because that's what's going to happen, and everybody's going to turn on him. I mean, he's going to be in a worse situation. If you thought PSG was bad, this is going to be worse. United will be worse because the spotlight, the pressure is just too much, and it's every day. At least for PSG, it's only in the Champions League. With the United, it's Premier League, it's FA Cup, League Cup, everything.
I think Poch, for his own sanctity, should take a pause on, the next manager. I mean, if Man United is offered to you, you take it, of course, because it's in front of you. But if not, I could, being fired back to back. We're saying that as if we 100% know he's gonna get. We do know. We feel that he's gonna get fired from PSG. But it's just that's not a good resume. That's not a good resume to have. You played at those coach. He needs redemption in the same way Tuchel got redemption from Chelsea. He needs to be seeking an opportunity like that. And you're almost destined to fail in the beginning for whoever comes into Manchester United in the next season. So you might as well find someone who's known for projects, who's known for building a project. And I'm not saying Pochettino is not a project guy. He had Southampton and Tottenham to an extent was a project, and he got maybe as far as the Champions League final with Tottenham, but he's not won anything substantial. You were naming a lot of left far off left field candidates, and I agree. I think one
not
that
left
I
wing.
would
They might be left wing, but they're not left wing.
Left field, yeah, left field. It seems like anybody we get. It seems like anybody we sign, we put them on the left wing. No, I think.
Well, I meant more like left
Graham
wing
Potter.
in the political sense. Like, yeah, it's like the left.
I got you.
They might.
I was gonna say,
no, we're not worried about their political affiliations at this point.
Yeah. This is strictly football. The one coach I would throw in there is Graham Potter. I think he's done. I like him as a coach. I think what he's done at Brighton is especially in their style of play is phenomenal. And the players that they have, like Bissouma and Blanty, those are players that can go into any of the top teams, especially Man United. We should be looking at some of those players to come play for us as well. But I think that team in particular and him, what he's done, he's being some of the top guys and shown that style of play is a thing that he can display. So but anyhow, we'll see who comes, and we'll be doing a review, I'm sure, when that person does get signed at some point.
We'll do reaction for when that person signs, which we'll probably know. We might get to know sooner than May. Actually, they might decide that they want to announce it beforehand. I mean, for Ajax, the season is more or less over. They're pretty much very far ahead in the league. They're out of the Champions League, so at this point I think they might very well start negotiations there. So maybe there's something comes quicker. I just fear for Graham Potter. I just feel it might be another Moyes situation. That's my only concern. I'm not saying he's Moyes, but I just fear that it's not. You get a few. The problem is the same thing. You lose a few games, everybody jumps on your back. Where United, that's what happens. If they're going to sign Potter, they need to make sure that this is the guy they're going to back for at least a year, 2 years. But they're going to give him the players that he wants, the money that he wants, to work the kind of way that he wants. I just I just don't feel that with someone like Potter, they will sign him just so that they can save money. It's like, oh, there we go, we've got Potter there, now we'll get us a top 4 years, 50 million, make whatever.
Right. I just think he's a brilliant mind, and it shouldn't be ignored. And I agree with. I see where your statement, where you're coming from with that point, but I just think he has a brilliant mind in football that shouldn't be overlooked.
I just feel like it's all about star signings, and the manager is going to be a star signing. The manager is going to be a star signing, and that's Pochettino, because that's like, oh, there we go, we got Pochettino. That's the thing, right? That's the star manager that they need. So anyway, but anyway, this has been quite a long episode. We actually didn't think we would go that long, but we kind of went into all kind of tangents and we talked about everything. So
this is therapy. This is also a therapy session.
It's like 1 hour free therapy session, isn't it? Like, how does that make you feel? Right? That's the whole asking, how does it make you feel? It makes you feel bad. Anyway, if you enjoyed that show, let us know what you thought of it as well. In the comment section, tell us, do you agree with some of the things that we said? Do you think we're being too harsh? Do you think we're being too soft on players as well? You can let us know what you think. If you did enjoy the show, please do share, like, and subscribe to the channel. Again, we always appreciate your support. Farhan, he only comes on this channel and shows when he knows that you give him likes. So that's why you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like Cristiano Ronaldo. I only come for guaranteed goals, except for this season. I only come for guaranteed trophies.
Guaranteed likes, guaranteed shares. That's the only time when Farhan shows up. So do like and do share it. If you enjoyed it. And tell us what you thought. And have a good day or night, whatever time you're watching this. We'll be back again very, very soon. Like I said, we might have some more content lined up for this week as well. So please stay tuned to the channel. Until then, Farhan, thank you so much for joining on the show. Always appreciate your insights. Always appreciate your analysis. And hopefully we'll have you back again soon. You know what? I don't want to have you back for a Liverpool title win show. That's what I don't want to have you back for. Oh my God, we did that last time. Oh my God, I hope we don't have to do that. Really, I hope that'd be a terrible, terrible season if we had to do that. Not that we don't want to have you back for the show, but I just don't want to do a Liverpool title reaction show. That's what I don't want to do. But we might, the way things are going, we might have to do that. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.